Today, we're talking about one of the most trusted blends in the wellness world, DigestZen, and the powerful science behind it.
In this episode, we'll focus on two primary essential oils within the DigestZen blend, caraway and ginger. We're also gonna learn about the fascinating science behind each of these oils and how they'll make a difference in your life.
Let's turn it over to the experts.
All right, thanks Paige and Jake. We're excited to be here with you. My name's Jared Auger. I'm the Executive Vice President of Education here at doTERRA. And I have the one and only Dr. Brannick Riggs with us.
It's good to be with you, Jared.
Brannick Riggs is the Vice President of Essential Oil Education. So we're going to learn a lot of things today.
Oh, thank you. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too. Especially as we get to talk about DigestZen.
I love DigestZen. It's actually one of my favorite oils.
Yeah, me too. It's one of those oils that we really need to. We've talking about this mastering oils lately. You're going to hear a lot more about mastering oils. This is one we need to master. So what is it about DigestZen? Why would we reach for DigestZen?
So let me just share with you, this is the first oil from doTERRA I was ever exposed to. When our youngest son was born, there were some pretty significant challenges. We had a friend of ours bring some DigestZen over to our house. And to see the change that it made in him really piqued my interest in something happened here. I need to understand physiologically and what the chemistry is that changed what I saw. And so I will forever be grateful for Chriselle Karras, a wellness advocate that brought this oil to us to help us in our time of need. So I love this oil.
I love that. I love that we get to see the sharing of an oil make a difference in your life.
Yeah.
And I'm sure as a physician, you were like, what is in this oil that's made this difference? Because I'm sure you tried a lot of different things with your son.
We did.
And all of a sudden you've got this oil and it changed everything.
Yeah, as an integrative doc, I had used a lot of things from my training in Europe, from all sorts of places, to see if I could help him in his particular situation, and nothing was working to that point. And then to see this make a significant change in him, I was like, oh, there's something here.
There is something there. Maybe let's talk about what are the oils, because DigestZen is a blend. It's a doTERRA blend of essential oils. Let's talk about the individual oils that are in there.
Yeah, so you've got peppermint, caraway, ginger, coriander, fennel, anise. I think that's all of them. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Let's maybe hone in on ginger for a little bit. Ginger's one of my favorites too.
I love ginger.
Whether that's fresh ginger or the essential oil of ginger, I love it.
There's a reason.
What's great about ginger?
There's a reason that so many cultures actually gravitate towards ginger, because we know from historical use of ginger that it does have incredible benefits. It helps us in so many ways. So ginger, really, the chemistry of ginger, you find it in two main, I would say, kind of categories of chemistry within ginger. It's gingerols that are important, and then shogaols. Shogaols are kind of a compound or a group of compounds that help us with things like gastric motility, moving things through the GI tract.
Which is extremely important, keeping things moving along.
Yeah, absolutely. You do want your GI tract to be moving along. It's important that as we consume food, that bolus of food that we've had before is moving through the GI tract at a steady rate. So number one, the digestion can take place. And then number two, elimination can take place. If either of those two things break down, you have significant problems.
Well, and with ginger, we've actually had some pretty cool clinical insights about ginger lately, don't we?
Yeah.
Let's maybe talk a little bit about those.
So several studies on ginger, of course, but one of them, St. Elizabeth's recently did a study, which I just absolutely love. We had a group of nurses that became quite interested in using ginger, and so they did an amazing clinical trial and found that it was incredibly helpful for patients that were undergoing certain procedures within the hospital.
Yeah, and that's an area that I think a lot of people would be pretty excited about, and that calming effect, I think we can say that?
Yep.
Calming.
Yep. Absolutely.
Effect after such intense procedures.
Yeah. You do find that after certain events, even think traumatic events in our lives, our GI tract tells us that we've been through something that's been really rough, right? It's not uncommon when you've been through something difficult, stressful, whatever, whether it's physical stress or emotional stress, you feel that in the abdomen. And so to have something like ginger that is so helpful at soothing and calming the abdomen is incredibly helpful. And that's exactly what this group of clinicians found.
Yeah, and speaking of emotional stress, I mean, you got to share a little story. I need to share a story about DigestZen. So I have a daughter. She's in high school. She's cheerleader, all the things. She's pretty emotionally charged. You can say that in some ways. And there's moments in life in high school that get pretty stressful, emotionally speaking. And interestingly enough, DigestZen is the oil that she goes to. When she's feeling that stress or those anxious feelings, she goes to DigestZen. And in fact, now all of the cheerleaders who have similar challenges
Right.
in life, they all run to her for her DigestZen when they're feeling that way.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Isn't that interesting that we find uses beyond what we would typically think of to help us with different things?
Well, I think that connection between the gut and your brain is so powerful. And for her, that calming feelings that she gets in her gut just translates up to her brain as well.
Absolutely. You know, another study, as we think about this, there was another study published in the Journal of Gastroenterology that found that ginger significantly reduced gastric emptying time. Again, thinking about that movement through the GI tract, that study I think was fascinating to show that even the use of ginger, which because of the gingerols and the sugarols, really does help move that GI tract.
Well, let's talk about moving along a little bit. Let's talk about a different oil that's in there, Caraway.
Caraway.
Let's talk about Caraway a little bit.
It's really not as well known, right, as the ginger. Ginger is kind of, we talk about ginger, we talk about peppermint a lot. Caraway is kind of an unsung hero. It has carvone in it, and it has limonene in it. Now, limonene, we
know limonene,
right?
Yes.
We're familiar with it from all of our citrus oils. We know that limonene is cleansing in many different ways, but carvone adds its own component to it that helps soothe the gastrointestinal tract.
Yeah. So any research about not carvone, but Caraway exactly? Anything there?
So there's a 2019 study in which Caraway was found to support healthy gastric motility. Again, we talk about the ginger, but also the coriander or the Caraway also reduces bloating by relaxing the smooth muscles, and then also helps that gastric motility again. It makes sense that when you enhance gastric motility, things are moving through, you have less bloating, because as things sit in the GI tract, you begin to produce more gas, you have more bloating, more issues. So as gastric motility is improved, bloating's improved.
Well, I mean, but that, if we think about it, that really is one of the biggest purposes of our digestive system, right?
Right.
Take the nutrients in, to absorb those nutrients, and then get the rest of it out. I mean, if it's not doing that, it can't really fulfill the purpose of its creation, right?
Correct.
It has to do that.
It's interesting that the human body has a tube that goes all the way through it.
Yeah.
And that tube we're finding now more and more when we talk about microbiome, digestion, et cetera, we're finding out the huge significance and the number of things that happen in there. It's a miracle that it works at all. And so supporting our digestive tract with appropriate nutrients, right? When we talk BMG, with appropriate probiotics like our PB Restore, and then supporting the health of the GI tract using things like DigestZen, absolutely paramount to make sure that all of these millions of things that are happening happen appropriately and help the human body.
Well, and we were talking about this just before this in my office. We were talking about the importance of that lining of our gut and how supportive DigestZen and peppermint that's in DigestZen is of that lining that gets disrupted by our modern lifestyles.
Yeah, there's so many things that cause really gaps in that lining. When you have gaps in that lining, it causes significant issues for us. And so to make sure that all of those gaps are sealed, that cells are touching each other, that there's tight junctions there is so very, very important. And DigestZen can support us with those things.
Yeah. And, you know, one thing I love about doTERRA and about the essential oils in general is we have so much research and so much research to do as well. But why is that such a focus point in doTERRA, that it's something that I love, that we have so much research and we're continually reaching for new answers and new ways to understand how essential oils impact our body? talk a little bit about why that's important to doTERRA.
I joined doTERRA as part of their medical advisory board 13 years ago. One of the first questions that I asked Dr. Hill when I met him was, is there any science behind this? And he said, of course, let's have this conversation. So we began talking about the science. And I said, well, what happens when you find out something about an oil that might cause a challenge for an individual? He said, we tell people about it. With that, I knew that doTERRA was founded in science, that it was a science-based company, that it wanted to know everything there was about essential oils. And I would say, now having been in the industry of essential oils for 13 years, there is no other company in the world that does the science of essential oils like doTERRA does.
Yeah. And again, that's what I love about doTERRA. I've been with doTERRA a long time now. And a lot of the things that I knew, for example, is we use DigestZen. So I use it a lot while I'm traveling. Mm-hmm. So maybe I'll tell a little story and then I'll kind of link back to that.
Yeah.
So when I was in Australia, we lived there for about 3.5 years. And during that time, I traveled a lot. And Australia is a big continent. So as you're going from one end to the other and you're doing events that you don't eat at regular times.
Right.
Sometimes you find yourself at midnight after an event and you're like, man, I got to find some food.
And the stuff that's available at midnight is not the same stuff that's available at 5 p.m.
And it's not the stuff you really want to eat, but you need to eat something.
Yes.
So you do. And inevitably, you don't feel great after
Right.
that. And I would always turn to DigestZen. That was my go-to oil. And it was also kind of funny because every time I took it, it was like, it can't work again. Mm-hmm. It can't fix my problem again.
Right.
And every time I used it, it did it. So when I hear this research, and this is tying back, when I hear this research, it's things that we know intuitively, that we've experienced. I guess we know because of our experience.
Yes.
Now we know because of clinical results.
Yeah.
And that just builds such strong, I guess, faith in the product, belief in the product, that now we know every time that I need some help with my digestive health, I'm going to DigestZen, and I'm going to get the result that I'm looking for.
It also relates back to the purity and consistency conversation that we've had for quite a long time now, that, you go, wow, could it work again for me? Oh my gosh, it did. It's because of the purity and consistency that you get those results time after time after time.
So let's talk about a couple other ways that we can use it. So, for me, I just get the bottle, I'm dropping it in my mouth, using it that way. And a lot of people also are, drop it into a tea or into their water. Again, another internal way to use it. There's so many different ways to use it.
Some people like the taste of DigestZen. I don't mind it. Obviously, you're the same way. But other people are like, I just don't really like, particularly folks that don't like black licorice. You've got the anise in there, right, which is a black licorice taste. So some people don't really enjoy that. The Digest soft gels are a great way to get the benefit without having to deal with the taste of that. So I really like the DigestZen soft gels.
Yeah, and that's a great call out, is we've extended DigestZen, this wonderful blend, into other products, the soft gels. We also have the Digest tabs sitting right here.
I love those.
Perfect, because this is not just the oil, right?
Right, so there's calcium carbonate in the tabs. And so calcium carbonate is fabulous for when I've eaten some very acidic foods, right? And I feel that heat, right, because of the acid, then my Digest tabs are fantastic for that. They just help with that calming feeling of that acidic food in the GI tract.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, it's been wonderful sitting with you, Brannick. I hope everybody here has learned something. I know I have as well. But I guess really let's invite people to use DigestZen a little bit more.
Absolutely. DigestZen really should be, all the time in our homes, on our countertops. I love, again, the touch, because kids can grab it. They know, to use it when there's an appropriate time for them. And so DigestZen really for us is in our home every day, used on a very frequent basis. So it should be used all the time.
Wonderful. Well, go check out DigestZen at doTERRA.com. Find your local wellness advocate, just like somebody found you to share with. There's a lot of people out there wanting to share and willing to share their knowledge with you. So thanks everybody for tuning in.
Thank you.
Paige, we're back.
We are back.
An amazing interview.
So good.
As always, our experts do a great job. Are you ready to experience the power of DigestZen for yourself? Visit doTERRA.com or talk to a wellness advocate today to experience the benefits for yourself and see what DigestZen can do for you.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, we'd love to hear your review on this oil. So add a review or a comment and tell us your experience. Also subscribe, and thanks so much for joining us.